call to order a special meeting of the Board of Directors of the Vallecitos Water District, Wednesday, November 6th at 4:30. James Campbell, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the roll call electronically has already been taken. Thank you. And
Move for adoption of the agenda.
thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, with that, we'll move right on to the action item. Seeing no general public here. Action item 1.1.
Yeah, so I'll jump in. Thank you, President Martin. First of all, I want to start out by thanking the board for accommodating the change in schedule. We had a regular meeting planned, and we still have it planned. But for clarity purposes, there were some minor issues with the notification. So we thought it would be in the best interest to make sure that it was noticed properly, and we took the actions that we needed to take. So at the special meeting right now, we're going to be taking two items related to the power purchase agreement, which the board will be considering at the regular meeting starting at 5 o'clock. And the two items we want to take at the special meeting are the to adopt the mitigated negative declaration and to authorize the general manager to enter into a cost reimbursement agreement, both of those items associated with the power purchase agreement. So you'll recall that we did have a workshop last Thursday on October 31st to talk about the power purchase agreement, and we mentioned all three items: the power purchase agreement, the MND, and the cost reimbursement agreement. So we won't go through the entire presentation. Between the special meeting and the regular meeting, you'll hear some of what you heard before, but not all of it in its entirety. James is going to lead the discussion, or maybe Rob is going to be, and our consultant, Kevin Ross, is in attendance today if you have any technical questions, either at this meeting or the following meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rob or James. So I'll turn it to James.
So, Director Martin, President Martin, members of the board, so this first one will be primarily going over the mitigated negative declaration. There will be a small presentation which will kind of surmise what the board heard at the workshop, but that one will be for the power purchase agreement at 5 o'clock.
Good afternoon, President Martin, members of the board. Thank you. I'm just going to stick strictly to the environmental portion of this here. I don't want to steal James or Ryan's thunder or their presentation material that you'll be hearing within the next half hour or so. So this is something here that the board has seen already here. If you recall back on August 21st, the board approved the public circulation of the draft mitigated negative declaration. Well, we've gone through the process, and now we have a final mitigated negative declaration before the board. So just to give you a little brief history on this, if you recall back on March 21st, a contract was awarded to BRG Consulting in the amount of $33,630. That is for the preparation of the mitigated negative declaration and initial study. Then back on August 21st, the board, once again, they authorized the public circulation of the draft M&D document when it was prepared. We received approximately 10 comment letters through the public review period, which terminated on October 16th. I'll just very quickly go through these comment letters so the board hears what the public had to say. Comments are actually very minor for the most part on this project. The first letter we received was from the Agua Caliente band. They just wanted to note here the project is not within their sphere of influence. That was it. County of San Diego gave us a comment letter. They just wanted to remind us about permitting and traffic requirements there, especially when we utilize their public right-of-way. They also they're asking us if we would implement or at least grant them an easement for part of their, what they call their aqueduct trail system, which actually runs along the east side of our Twin Oaks reservoir property, but that is something we will get to later. Palamanda Mission Indians, they want an archaeological monitoring And actually, Rincon Band had a very similar comment. They wish to have a monitor be present from their very own tribe. The city of San Marcos, we probably got the biggest comment from. That was a zoning correction. In the draft M&D, we announced a zoning for our Lift Station 1 property being commercial and industrial / mixed use. We got a correction from their planning department. Apparently, the zoning for that property is strictly mixed use. With that in mind, development of this there for a solar project would require a site development plan. It's not the worst thing in the world here. We've already, in the draft M&D, made concessions for a conditional use permit. With this zone change, though, we wouldn't have to do that. We would just need to do a site development plan. And after some preliminary discussions with the city planning, we understand that this is potentially a faster and easier process than a conditional use permit. We also got notice there from the San Diego Archaeological Society. They actually agree with our mitigation measures, and that was their comment. We received 2 different comment letters from the Vallecitos band. They just asked us to avoid sacred sites and to contact them with any discoveries, which we can do that. We received a letter from the California State Department of Toxic Substances Control, just basically to update their address. We had the wrong address that we sent it to. And the last letter we received was from the State Clearinghouse, which we receive every time, saying, okay, at the terminus of your public review period, they'll send it along with any comment letters that they received, just confirming that the review period is closed. So you'll see the comment letters and responses to them are all going to be included or have been included in the final mitigated negative declaration that's on our website. That's been on our website here since last week. A mitigation monitoring and reporting program was also prepared. It's also known as the MMRP for short. And what the MMRP does here is it just shows how we propose to mitigate any significant effects, which we're not really anticipating for this project. So both the final M&D and the MMRP are part of a resolution for the board adoption. But before I get to that there, I want to turn it back over to James to talk about the cost reimbursement agreements.
If I may ask a question on the mitigation. The Indian tribes, I'm sure it's a boilerplate, they send it out to everybody. In our particular case, both properties have been very disturbed. Matter of fact, one of them filled dirt on top of one of our tanks. Chances of finding a dig is kind of rare. Do we have to, are we going to hire the Indian tribe to come and have someone sit there?
So you're absolutely correct here. The Twin Oaks property here, which is basically just a completely disturbed fill on top of our reservoir, not really their concern. Their concern is more with the lift station #1 site. And the reason for this is there's a property in the very close vicinity off San Marcos Boulevard and Discovery Street that was actually found to have some artifacts on that site. So that seems to have a lot of their interest, and that's probably why they're all commenting on this here, because they're probably interested in this site here. What we've done though is we've changed one of our measures here, how we were going to actually install the solar panels at Lift Station 1. Before we were talking about pile driving into which could be, native material. Now we're using more of the ballast system, very similar to what we're proposing on our Twin Oaks tank. We're hoping that's going to alleviate a lot of their concerns.
And that was my question. I know that Lift Station 1 we're using ballast, so we're not disturbing anything that hasn't already been disturbed. I think we had a contractor out there that leveled it off. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff done on that site already.
So we do plan to invite them if they wish to come and observe the construction activities for it. I don't think we have any issue with that. We certainly don't plan on hiring them for that, though.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Okay, along with this action tonight, the second thing we're going to be asking the board to take action on is a cost reimbursement agreement. And what this is it's really part of the power purchase agreement. However, With this, the district has direct expenses. So our largest direct expense is hiring and getting the services of Terra Verde. And their contract was roughly $220,000 as approved by the board to guide us through this whole process from start to actual completion. The other one I just heard from Rob tonight was the mitigated negative deck was roughly $31,000. And there's staff time and there's also legal costs. So we're eligible to get reimbursed, and it's already in the power purchase agreement and within the scope of the provider that the board will be taking action on later tonight to basically reimburse us. So right now, I don't have the final numbers, but the numbers are close to $300,000. So Kevin, unless I'm wrong, we would be getting a check roughly close, whatever that amount is, roughly $300,000 that reimburse the district for all of its costs, staff time, legal, and consultants. And it's rolled into the existing power purchase agreement, and it's already structured that way.
That's correct.
I believe Director Hernandez asked about fencing, what we'd have to do.
So with the site development plan over at the lift station 1 site, I got off the phone with city staff yesterday. So their main concern is the view from the street. So once I had their planning department look at just a Google map view from the street, they basically just said, well, based on there's no residents looking onto that site because it's kind of in an area where there are no residents over there, and the fact that the site is a long site and there's not much view, perhaps, and it's already landscaped, perhaps we might have to put some privacy slats or some type of screening on the front gates only. So they obviously stated very clearly that they have the right to condition it as fit based on what the application is. But however, in preliminary looks and understanding now that the panels are only about 18 to 24 inches off the ground, and the way the site's laid out, from what they can see, the only thing they could even think of is his exact words are there may be nothing or maybe just some screening along the front fences. However, even if they had block walls and other conditions, we double checked within the power purchase agreement and within the scope of the of the contractor or the provider that's going to be doing this, it is in their scope to do it. So even if there was several $100,000 in work that would have to be done, that is the risk of the solar provider, the third party. So the district wouldn't bear any of those costs. So whether or not, so it looks like it may be a moot point anyway, but even if it was something that was going to be conditioned to us, the district would not be on the hook for it.
So my question is, my understanding is that on the lift station, that the rent is roughly $2,500 a month?
19 to 25.
Yeah.
How would they possibly sustain the cost of putting up block walls and eating that?
You have to also remember that it's that the whole PPA rate is based on both sites.
Okay.
So it's worked into both sites. So they're not looking at that site individually.
Thank you. Director Hernandez.
Relative to the reimbursement and staff, does it also the staff time and the multiplier that we're applying?
Yeah, it's a full loaded cost.
Okay, very good. I'll save the rest of my questions for the next meeting.
Yeah, I was going to add that we were planning to cover this in greater depth at the next meeting where we talk about the power purchase agreement. And just one more note on the cost reimbursement agreement. We're just looking for authority to authorize the general manager to enter into it contingent on the board approving the power purchase agreement. So if you approve the cost reimbursement, give me the authority now, and then the board doesn't enter into the power purchase agreement, we won't enter into a cost reimbursement agreement, obviously.
Are you ready for the vote?
Yeah, so with that there, yeah, staff actually has two requests here of the board. The first one is staff recommends the adoption of a resolution which takes the following two actions. First, it adopts the final mitigated negative declaration for the district-wide solar program. And second, the resolution approves the district-wide solar program final mitigated negative declaration, mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And then the second recommendation staff has is to authorize the general manager to enter into a cost reimbursement agreement with SSA Solar of California Number 5 LLC, subject to approval of the power purchase agreement by the Board of Directors.
Move for approval.
Moved
Second.
And seconded, all,
Roll call.
roll call?
This will be resolution 1559, and you will cast your vote. Oh, here. Thank you.
All right. It's unanimous with one absence.
He did.
And now the second resolution?
I think they're all together.
That was it.
I thought there were two
One
resolutions.
resolution that did two things.
Two,
Yeah.
two
Oh.
parts of one.
Two for one. It's a
That
two
was
for
that
one.
Cost cutting measures.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we'll adjourn until 5 o'clock.